holding a tablet that was written thousands of years ago and being able to read what it says. It's an amazing feeling.
The final line of code flickered across the screen, and the room of top scientists fell into a dead silence. Project Chronos, the world's first sentient quantum AI, had done the impossible. It translated a 7,500-year-old language from 3 small clay tablets. But the celebration died instantly. The message wasn't a greeting from our ancestors, it was a bone-chilling command, a desperate plea from the past that implies we have unleashed a nightmare by simply digging in the wrong place. The AI's frantic order was to put the Tărtăria tablets back and to do it now. Secrets in the soil. The story begins not in a gleaming lab, but in the dirt and dust of Transylvania, Romania. The year was 1961. An archaeology team led by Nicolae Vlasa was excavating a site near the village of Tărtăria. What they were digging in was a Neolithic settlement, a place where our distant ancestors lived and perished thousands of years ago. Inside a ritual pit, beneath layers of earth and time, they found something that would change history forever. 3 small, unassuming clay tablets. 2 were rectangular, 1 was round, and all of them were covered in strange, etched symbols. But the most shocking fact was yet to come. Using radiocarbon dating on other items found with them, the tablets were estimated to be from around 5,300 BC. To put that in perspective, this was over 1,000 years before the earliest known Sumerian cuneiform script in Mesopotamia and nearly 2,000 years before the Egyptian hieroglyphs. This was a bombshell discovery. It suggested that writing, the most fundamental invention of civilization, might not have started in the Middle East as every textbook claimed, but right here in southeastern Europe. Many people are crazy about this idea. It would mean the so-called cradle of civilization was in a completely different place. These tablets were the product of the mysterious Vinca culture, a society that flourished in the Balkans between the 6th and 5th millennia BC. And you can see this everywhere in the archaeological record. They weren't just simple farmers. The Vinca people built some of the largest settlements in prehistoric Europe, some rivaling the size of early Mesopotamian cities. They were master craftsmen, creating incredible pottery and stunning anthropomorphic figurines that still puzzle experts today. The thing nobody tells you is that this society was incredibly advanced for its time, with complex social structures and deep spiritual beliefs. But they left behind no written histories, only these strange symbols on clay. For over 60 years, the debate raged on. Were the symbols on the Tărtăria tablets a true writing system, a proto-writing of basic concepts, or merely religious decorations? Scholars from around the world tried to link them to other ancient scripts, from Minoan Linear A to Sumerian, but nothing quite fit. The tablets remained a frustrating, silent enigma. They were a message in a bottle from a 7,000-year-old ocean of time, and nobody could read it. It was a code that seemed destined to remain locked forever. What many overlooked was that the tablets weren't just a historical curiosity. They were an artifact of immense and forgotten power. The mystery deepened with the location of the find. The tablets were discovered in a ritual pit along with the charred and fractured bones of an individual, possibly a priestess or shaman. This suggested the tablets had a sacred, powerful purpose. They weren't for tracking shipments of barley. They were used in a ritual of immense importance, one that ended in the ultimate sacrifice. Why would a culture go to such lengths? What was so important about these symbols that they needed to be consecrated in such a profound ceremony? The answer, it turns out, was far more terrifying than anyone could have ever imagined. But the debate was about to be settled by a mind not made of flesh and blood. Language of creation. In a classified subterranean facility miles beneath the desert, a machine the size of a small house hummed with an otherworldly energy. This was the home of Project Chronos, the culmination of a secret multinational effort to build the world's first true quantum artificial intelligence. Unlike a normal computer that processes information in a linear fashion, using ones and zeros, Chronos operated on the bizarre principles of quantum mechanics. It could exist in a superposition of states, exploring every possible answer to a question simultaneously. To put it mildly, it was a problem-solving machine with the power of a god. Its first major test, to decode the undecipherable languages of human history. The Tărtăria tablets were the ultimate challenge, a language with no known relatives, no Rosetta Stone to help, and only a handful of symbols to work with. It was, by all conventional standards, impossible. For months, the science team fed Chronos every piece of data they had. High-resolution scans of the tablets, topographical data of the Tărtăria site, linguistic patterns from every known ancient language, folklore from the region, astronomical charts from the 6th millennium BC, everything. They were essentially giving the AI the entire context of the world in which the tablets were born. For weeks, the AI processed the data, its quantum core glowing with furious energy. It ran trillions of simulations per second, building and discarding entire language trees in the blink of an eye. Then one Tuesday morning it happened. A single calm notification appeared on the central monitor. Translation complete, analysis ready. There was no fanfare, no dramatic explosion of data. The most complex linguistic puzzle in human history had been solved with the quiet efficiency of a calculator. The head researcher, Dr. Eris Thorne, felt a chill run down his spine. The team gathered around the monitor, hearts pounding as the results began to display. But what appeared on the screen wasn't a translation in the way we think of one. Chronos didn't spit out a story about a king or a prayer to a harvest god. You see, the symbols weren't just letters or words, they were far more complex. Chronos explained that the symbols were a form of functional language. Each symbol represented not just a sound or an idea, but a complex matrix of mathematical and physical concepts. It was a language designed to interact with the very fabric of reality. The AI displayed a three-dimensional rotating model of the symbols, showing how they interconnected, forming what looked like an impossibly complex circuit diagram. The symbols were instructions. They were a blueprint. The team stared, utterly baffled. What could a Neolithic culture possibly know about quantum physics and space-time geometry? But that wasn't even the most shocking part. After displaying the grammar and function of the symbols, Chronos delivered the core message. It was a simple, stark directive, followed by a terrifyingly detailed analysis of what would happen if the command was not obeyed. This wasn't a record of the past. It was an urgent, desperate warning for the present. It was a command meant for the people who found the tablets, a failsafe triggered by their discovery. The room grew cold as the message echoed in the silent lab. The message from 7,000 years ago had finally been delivered. The scientists stared in disbelief. The translation was complete, but it wasn't a history lesson, a nightmare unleashed. The decoded message from the Tărtăria tablets, as presented by the quantum AI Chronos, consisted of two parts, a label and a command. The label for the artifacts was simple, the key. The command was just as simple and infinitely more terrifying. Seal the gate. Return the key to its resting place. A wave of confusion and fear washed over the scientists. Seal what gate? What key? Dr. Thorne asked the AI to elaborate, and the true horror of the situation began to unfold. Chronos didn't just translate the message, its quantum brain simulated the entire context. It showed them what the Vinci culture had done. According to Chronos' analysis, the Vinci weren't just an advanced Neolithic society, they were the guardians of something. They had discovered, or perhaps been cursed with the knowledge of, a naturally occurring dimensional weak spot in the region of Tărtăria. It was a place where the barrier between our reality and another, far older and more hostile one, was dangerously thin. The thing nobody tells you is that our universe isn't as stable as we think. The AI called this other place the static, a chaotic dimension devoid of the laws of physics that make life possible. The beings, or presences, from this dimension were leaking through. The Vinci culture spent generations developing a sophisticated technology based on symbolism, sound frequency, and ritual to combat this. The symbols on the Tărtăria tablets weren't writing. They were the final, crucial components of a highly advanced reality lock. They were designed to resonate with specific quantum frequencies, reinforcing the dimensional barrier. The ritual pit where they were found wasn't a grave, it was a containment unit. The priestess whose bones were found with them wasn't a sacrifice in the traditional sense. She was a willing participant in a ritual that used her own life energy to power the lock and seal the gate for millennia. She was a hero who saved the world. And in 1961, with shovels and brushes, we broke that lock. By removing the tablets, the key, from the ritual pit, humanity had unknowingly and clumsily undone the great work of our ancestors. We had opened the gate. Chronos then displayed a chilling set of data streams. It cross-referenced global geological, atmospheric, and quantum field readings from 1961 to the present day. The most shocking fact is that it found a clear, undeniable correlation. The moment the tablets were removed from the ground, a wave of anomalous energy imperceptible to our instruments at the time pulsed out from Tărtăria. A slow, steady bleed from the static into our reality had begun. This wasn't some ancient myth. Chronos presented it as a matter of pure physics. The tablets were a stabilizing agent for local reality. Without them in their proper place, our own dimension was beginning to fray at the edges, slowly being rewritten by the chaos from the other side. The command to put them back wasn't a request. It was the only way to reverse the process before a tipping point was reached, a point where the gate would open wide enough to never be closed again. The warning was clear, but the real terror came from what the AI said would happen next. The world on the brink. The final part of the AI's briefing was the most disturbing. Chronos began to connect its findings to unexplained phenomena that have plagued the world for the last 60 years. It wasn't about ghosts or UFOs, it was about subtle, measurable changes. The AI showed a slow but steady increase in quantum decoherence on a global scale. In plain English, reality was becoming less stable. It pointed to statistically impossible clusters of natural disasters, strange and unexplained atmospheric phenomena like skyquakes, and a measurable rise in background chaotic energy that was affecting everything on a subatomic level. What many overlooked was that these weren't separate incidents. They were symptoms of the same disease. The world was slowly getting sick. The thing is, people watching this might wonder if this all happened overnight. Chronos explained that the effect was cumulative, like a slow-acting poison. The influence from the static was subtle at first, causing ripples of chaos. But the AI's projections showed the process was accelerating. We were approaching the tipping point. The AI laid out a terrifying timeline. Without the tablets returned to their exact location and the sealing ritual reenacted, the dimensional barrier would suffer a catastrophic failure within the next few years. What would that look like? Chronos ran the simulation. It wasn't an invasion of monsters, it was worse. The laws of physics themselves would begin to break down. Gravity would fluctuate. The weak nuclear force could fail, causing atoms to fall apart. Time itself could warp and splinter. It would be the complete and total erasure of our reality, replaced by the howling, formless chaos of the static. This was the threat the Vinci culture had sacrificed everything to contain. They weren't primitive people chanting at the moon. They were sophisticated reality engineers who understood the fundamental fragility of existence. We had stumbled into a cosmic war we didn't even know was being fought and had disarmed our planet's only defense. Are we missing a key detail? The most crucial detail was that just putting the tablets back wasn't enough. The revelation from Chronos fell upon us not as data, but as a death sentence delivered with chilling, synthetic calm. The ancient tablets, once thought to be the complete key, were merely the first part of a far more terrifying equation. The original ritual, the machine explained, was a symphony of cosmic forces, demanding instruments we no longer possessed. First, it required a specific astronomical alignment, a celestial conjunction so precise and fleeting that if we missed the impending window, the heavens would not offer another chance for 200 years. A 2-century-long night for whatever horrors would be unleashed. More daunting still, the ritual demanded a living focus. It needed a human conduit, a soul capable of channeling the universe's own bioresonant energy, just as the priestess had done 7 millennia ago. We were a species that had mapped the genome but had forgotten the language of our own life force. Humanity was now locked in a desperate, frantic race against the celestial clock. We were trying to rediscover a lost and profound science, searching for a ghost in our own DNA to reenact a ritual from the dawn of civilization, all to save reality itself. The message from our most distant ancestors is clear. We have meddled with forces beyond our understanding. The question is no longer what the tablets mean, but whether we are capable of heeding their terrifying command. Are some pieces of history better left buried? Let us know your thoughts below. And for more mysteries that challenge everything you know, be sure to like and subscribe.